confirm. Okay. Right, fabulous. We shall make a start. So we are really lucky to have the British School at Athens with Runshaw today for Classics Academy. And I'm going to hand over to their Assistant Director, Georgios, who's going to talk to us a little bit about the work that they've been doing.
Okay, thank you very much, Francesca. It's really nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation. And I wish we could be there to make this a little bit more engaging and show you. Actually, I wish you could be here because it's a lovely sunny day in Athens. But yeah, it's the times we live in. Zoom and Teams are the way to do it. So I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with the British School of Athens and its work. So I'm gonna, please bear with me to say a little bit of information about what the British School of Athens is and what we do. So in a nutshell, the British School of Athens, or BSA as we usually call it, is a research institute located in Athens. On your left is our building, the one we are all now, me, Amalia, and Evie. And we do have a satellite research center at Knossos on Crete, which is a picture you can see on your right, sorry. And we are one of the 7 British international research institutes, part funded by the British Academy. So we do research, and some, not all of our funding, almost half of it comes from the British Academy. So we are a charity, and our main goal is to not only do but also facilitate research for UK institutions and scholars. So we are located at a very central place in Athens, in a very beautiful place. We have an amazing garden, actually, and we like to say that we are an oasis in the middle of a very urban landscape. Athens is very densely populated. And we have a renowned library, which we will hear about more from Evie. And we are at the heart of research into Greece and Greek culture. And we say that because a lot of major archaeological sites and museums are at a walking distance from our school. Acropolis, the Archaeological Museum, the Athenian Agora, you can easily walk there from the British School. But being with us comes with some perks. For example, you get to follow and attend an academic program of seminars, lectures, and conferences hosted not only by us, but by 18 other foreign schools. And not to mention also Greek institutions and universities. It gives you access to archival laboratory, museum, and rare book collections available for consultation and study on site. We have the FITS Laboratory, a world-leading center for science-based archaeology that has pioneered the application of scientific techniques in archaeological research in Greece. A sketch you can see on your right. This is how it looks, kind of, a very old sketch. Networking opportunities with leading international scholars. And these are not only formal networking opportunities, but also very informal. You can we have a very nice and beautiful room / library, the Finlay room, where you can easily have a cup of tea or coffee and chat with others. And we have a lot of informal sessions and events that we get to meet other people and exchange ideas and talk. We also offer internships and training courses, which I will talk about in a bit more detail. Funding opportunities for small and bigger research projects, access to archaeological sites and museums across Greece. We actually help scientists get permits to study in Greece, to do excavations or study material. We do offer advice on the development of research programs, and we also provide funding, usually in scholarships and studentships, visiting fellowships for research in Greece. I do urge you to take a look at our website, just be nosy and look around. This is www.bsa.ac.uk. you can find all the information you will need for the BSA, what we do, how we do it, access to our digital collection. Amalia will talk a little bit about that, and in general, as I will talk to you in a moment about ways to engage with the BSA. Okay, and one of the best ways to engage with us, especially very, very early on, is through volunteer and internship programs. So we accept volunteer applications from individuals based locally, but also from the UK, either from those who can secure funding through various programs like student exchange programs, for example, the Erasmus Plus or the Turing Sim, but also occasionally we have some remote placements that we can offer. And from time to time, we offer small bursaries that may be very helpful for interested volunteers and interns to travel to Greece and help us here on site. And the way to find out about this is to visit our website, what we do, and then you just click on volunteers and interns. You put your email, we get your email, and then when there is an opportunity available, we just email our pool of volunteers and say, okay, this is what we can offer at this moment, who is interested? And whoever it is, we try to find a way for them to work with us for the BSA. And when I say work, I don't mean free labor. We always try to help them either in terms of travel support, or accommodation, or even access to certain resources. We also offer a wide range of courses that help people learn more about the past and various aspects of our discipline or disciplines. And our flagship, and perhaps the course that you might be very interested in very early on, if you decide to study classics or history or archaeology, is our undergraduate course. And this is an annual course that all undergraduates can apply, even first-year undergraduates. So if some of you next year go to study at a university, you can easily apply for this. And this is a 3-week course, an intense course that brings you to Greece and lets you see an enormous amount of archaeological sites and museums. We travel all around Lower Greece and the Peloponnese, all those city-states that you read about in your courses, Athens and Sparta and Corinth, ancient Olympia. We visit all those sites and do lectures either at the BSA or on sites. We visit museums. Sometimes we get to handle objects. So I would strongly suggest, if you study classics or history or archaeology, to apply for this course. And this is a relatively cheap course because we make sure to keep the minimum, the cost as low as possible. For example, for a 3-week course, traveling aside to and from Greece, we charge roughly £600, including accommodation and most of food. So we do everything we can to make this as accessible as possible. We take around 30 students. And some universities even you can even get credit by this course in some universities. But we also have postgraduate courses. We have, for example, the Byzantine archaeology and history course. We have an epigraphy course and other courses that will help you train in certain things that you might be very interested in. For example, a course that we have, I think next month here at the BSA, is the glass in the Mediterranean and the Near East. Where you get to know about techniques of working with glass, how you study glass, and all those other interesting things. And we also have a teacher's course to keep your teachers fit and help them expand their horizons and think about classics and ancient history and archaeology in some different ways. But as I said, aside from courses and training, we are primarily a research center, And I think it's worth exploring a little bit more what we do here at the BSA to get a better overview. So we don't do one kind of research. We're not only doing classics or history. We're not only studying ancient Greece. We try to study every aspect of Greek history and culture. And this comes in the form of either excavations or research projects that some of our staff gets. For example, I study ancient athletics. Our director, Rebecca Sweetman, studies population displacements in past and present. And we have a lot of other students, either doctoral students, postdoctoral students, visiting fellows that have their own unique projects. We even have digital humanities projects. We even have exhibitions, online exhibitions, even a Lego exhibition that you might want to take a look at our website. If you click our exhibitions, you can take a look at what we have available, and Amalia perhaps can talk a little bit more about this. We also like to publish our work, and these are our main vehicles for publication. The archaeological reports, which is an annual journal that in a way summarizes all the archaeological activity that happened in the previous year, all the reports of all the schools, what they found, and some basic information, along with some thematic articles about various aspects of archaeology. For example, our next issue has a review of underwater archaeology, has a review of archaeology in Sicily, and a review on art and archaeology. And we like to investigate a lot of aspects surrounding archaeology. And we also have the annual of the British School of Athens, which includes studies that are either people associated with the British School do, or other academics that we like to collaborate with. And we also have, aside from these printed publications, we also have a lot of digital tools. For example, one of my favorites, because I work on inscriptions, is the Attic Inscriptions Online tool that in a way allows you to study all kinds of inscriptions that were found in Athens and Attica more broadly. And there's a very easy function. You can just search or browse the catalog, and you can find you can either do a text search, or you can, if you know the code name of each inscription, you can just type it and it will give you an English translation, a very good English translation of that inscription. And you can even have links. For example, this PHI, I don't know if you can see the mouse, I'm not sure, but on your right, sorry, there's a IG 2 in Latin and 3136 in the parentheses of PHI. This gives you access to the Greek text. So if anyone likes to study inscriptions or take a look at a few inscriptions and texts, this is how you should start. And another project that we are very proud of, and that I will talk in a little bit more detail, is the Archaeology in Greece Online. I also included the French title because this is a collaboration we have with a French school. So this is half English, half French. But as I said before, we have the archaeological reports where we summarize all the archaeological activity of the previous year. But we also have Archaeology in Greece Online to supplement that by giving you a more up-to-date information about archaeological sites. So part of our my morning routine is to just scan through other schools and the Ministry of Culture and even newspapers and see if there was any new discovery. And the minute I find this, I translate it in English and upload it in Archaeology in Greece Online. So this is as up to date as it gets. You're at the forefront of discoveries. And you can even take a look at a few things even before they are published properly. And I'll show you how it looks. This is when you open the website, this is how it looks, okay? And you can have classic search by images, search by map. There is a map, for example, but let's say we want to find information about ancient Olympia. We would go to the search engine on your left toolbar. We will put the Peloponnese. Now it has it, I didn't notice, it has it with a Greek transliteration, but you can write Peloponnese and Olympia here and it will give you the same result. And you just click search now and it will give you whatever it has on Olympia. And for example, you can click the Temple of Zeus ancient Olympia to see what kind of entry this is. So it gives you a summary of what happened. So who did the excavation, what was found. It gives you a location. It gives you images of the objects that were found, or if it was a building was uncovered or unearthed, it will show you pictures of a building. So this is perhaps the very first thing that an archaeologist does when they start a new research. When they try to find information about a place, they would go to the archaeology in Greece online. They would just type the place they're interested in, and it will show them everything there is, everything new about that place. And this is also useful because of maps. If, for example, you don't know where Olympia is, if you don't know where Sparta or Corinth or Macedonia is, you can just click and it will show you. It will even tell you how to spell it properly, if that's what you were worried about. So, but aside from this is one of our latest projects, and we also have other projects that are currently ongoing with digital humanities that include exhibitions. I leave this part for Amalia, but I think, I'm not sure. Okay. Because we were a bit late at the beginning, maybe we should talk a bit about the library, if Evie's ready now.
Hello, everyone. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So Yorgos explained a lot about the school. I'm going to tell you about the library, which basically supports the goals of the BSA. It has a collection that in the beginning, it was focused on archaeology, but during the years, it expanded to other areas of Hellenic studies. The library was founded in 1886 with the BSA. And in 1899, it expanded a lot when the school received a large book donation of more than 5,000 books by the nephew of George Finlay, who was a Scottish philhellene who spent his time in Athens, and he had a very rich collection of books, pamphlets, maps, and also archives, which now reside in the BSA archive. Today, it has an ever-increasing collection of books, periodicals, and also electronic resources. We also have a collection of historical maps, primarily from Greece, but they cover also the Balkans, a little bit of Central Europe and the Mediterranean. And we also do have a collection of aerial photographs that cover Greece, and they were taken during the Second World War. I'm going to tell you a little bit who uses the library. Yorgos explains that we do have some sporadic courses. We don't offer degrees, the courses are sporadic. So primarily we aim to students who attend those courses. But also we have fellows and people who have studentships here with the BSA. We accept postgraduates and faculty from UK universities, Greek universities, and other research institutions, and also from universities from all over the world. We have Greek archaeologists who use the library, and also members of our other foreign schools in Athens. if our collection now has about 80,000 book volumes, over 1,200 periodical titles. If we go to the next slide, this is our online catalog. It is a union catalog that contains our collection and also the collection of the Blagan Library, of the Blagan Library of the American School of Classical Studies, and also the Gennadius Library, also from the American School of Classical Studies. So it's basically three major libraries. So the combination of those catalogs in a union one is a brilliant resource if someone needs to look for literature on Hellenic studies from all ages, from prehistory to the modern day, and also archaeology in Greece, Balkans, and Mediterranean. If you go to the next slide, here we have our external databases. Some of them are open access, such as the Athens Attica inscriptions that George presented before. Also, we have here some databases that are accessed only by IP, which means we do have a subscription to them. So they are available only to our readers and members. Where a reference library would not check out materials, so people do have to come here and study. And finally, I can show you the next slide. Yeah, some of the collections are digitized or partly digitized, such as our map collection. Our aerial photograph collection is catalogued and in the digital collections website. Amalia will talk to you more about that in a bit. We don't have the aerial photographs online, but we have the records, so it's a good search tool to see what map and cartographic material we have. In the future, we may add more, we may digitize and add more library collections here, such as rare books. So this is what I had to say. So Amalia, if you're ready.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay, since you can't see me due to our technological failure somehow. So I'm just going to talk you through the major collections that are here in the BSA archive. And here's a listing of them, the excavation records of the school. So all the excavation records from the beginning of the school in 1886 until more recently. Excavation records come to the school when the teams have finished publications. The personal papers of the school, and those are usually BSA members, but we also have a collection that we've called the Modern Greek Studies collection, and that usually contains collections of members who are not archaeologists, like George Finley, who Evie mentioned, who actually lived and died before the school was even created. The corporate records of the school, of course. The Byzantine Research Fund, which is a very unique collection by British architects that was done at the turn of the century of Byzantine monuments. Our photographic collection, and a special collection from the 1936 exhibition that was done for the 50th anniversary of the school in Burlington House in London. Next slide, please. I'm just going to show you a few images and highlight some of them. So here again are just a sample of the excavation records we have. So of course we have notebooks and photographs and all of these and plans, of course. The major excavations of the school are Knossos in Sparta, Mycenae. Here you see Lefkandi, which is done on Milos, and the island of Milos was done in the turn of the century. Lefkandi is in Evia, and that was done in the 1960s and still goes on today. These are, of course, in the archives, the older excavations of the school that we've already somewhat processed. And again, some of our digital collections will come back to the end again, that Yorgo and Evie mentioned, our digital collection site. But these are the documents on site that people are using as they go through their excavation seasons. Next slide, please. This is a sample of the personal papers. We have the personal papers of Winifred Lamb that you see up there looking through her survey equipment for her site. She excavated on Thermae in the island of Lesbos. The middle papers is a notebook of William Gell, early traveler in the 1800s, and the Grand Tour, you may have heard him. Then we have Sylvia Benton, who's down in the cave. She's an excavator in the 1930s. She was a teacher, actually, and she came into archaeology later in life. But she's there in Ithaca digging the Pulis Cave, and they had to dive down to do some of the digging for that, as you see up there. George Finley, again, who we've mentioned before, gave his books, his antiquities to us, as well as his archives. He was involved in the Greek War of Independence in 1821. That's how he first came to Greece, and he spent the rest of his life here. And he did one of the most important histories of Greece, modern history of Greece, from the Roman period to his contemporary time, which was the 1840s. And then John Pendlebury, who you see in the far right sitting on the Knossos throne. John Pendlebury was a curator in Knossos, and then he went to do excavations in east of Crete. He was also a British spy, and he fought in World War II in Greece, and unfortunately died in the Battle of Crete in 1941. And his family gave us all his personal papers, which are quite amazing. And then in the middle down below, you see a beautiful fresco reconstruction of the procession in Knossos. These were done by a man called Mark Cameron, who restudied all of Minoan Mycenaean frescoes in the 1960s and 70s, and really did remarkable rethinking of what the iconography showed. Next slide, please. And then our corporate records, again, corporate records have a really big mix. You know, it's usually the correspondence between people who are running the organization, but a lot of it includes architectural plans of how the school was built. On the upper part of the slide, you see the architectural plan of what became the Penrose Library before it was built. And then the sketch on the other side, on the upper part, is the sketch plan of the land where the school is actually built. This is before they got the architects in, but they're thinking out where the school can actually go on this piece of land they've been offered by the Greek government. And below the hostel layout, which was done in 1897. And then just the secretary writing to one of the architects in the letter. Next slide, please. And then the Byzantine Research Fund. Again, this is a very unique collection. We have a recording Byzantine monuments in Greece and kind of the East Mediterranean, really, not just Greece. And they're done in the late 1900s and late 1800s and early 1900s by a team of British architects who were trained in the arts and crafts tradition. And they came out studying Neo-Byzantine revival movements. And they recorded hundreds of monuments. This collection is huge. And a lot of it is recording monuments as they were at the time before they were conserved. So it's extremely important in restoration purposes. We also see on the lower photograph there, Eski Sorel is showing the Ottoman parts of the building before they were taken down. At this point, this is that church is in Thessaloniki. At the time they're recording it, Thessaloniki is not part of the Greek state. It's still under Ottoman rule. So that's all these sorts of recordings at a time when Greece is a very different place. But these architects, the other important things these architects did was they took all this research that they did in Greece on Byzantine monuments, and they went back home to Britain, and they essentially made new buildings with this research they'd done in Greece by Byzantine monuments. Next slide, please. And then the photographic collection, which shows us just a huge range of what we have. Excavation records, old photographs of people in Greece that the British members were really interested in. You see there the Greek dancers, statues down below on the island of Milos as they were found in situ. Next slide, please. And then the 1936 exhibition. And this exhibition, again, highlighted the 50th anniversary of the school, and it was done in London. But what's really important here is the original works of art that were created, like you see the beautiful watercolors that created for artifacts that were not able to travel to London for this exhibition. And this is how they reproduced them. Next slide, please. And again, back to digital collections. This is kind of the way we are able to show the world our collections. We have a few of these digitized right now. So if you go to our digital collections page, you can see a few of our collections. One of them I've highlighted here is the Mycenae Excavation Records, which is a project we did with Cambridge University, and you can actually read the notebooks online. Next slide, please. And then a little bit of the outreach we do for lectures, exhibitions, conferences, and publications, and a lot of the other stuff that Jorgo mentioned, and archive stories. But again, having people come and work with us in internships, or so many researchers come out to get into our material and see all the amazing things we have. That's all for me.
Okay, I should stop sharing so we can. Okay, let me know if you can now see us instead of the PowerPoint.
Yes, I can
Okay,
see
yes.
you, definitely. Thank you so much. That was incredibly interesting. And I think everybody's eyes lit up, especially when we saw the Archaeology in Greece online resource, because one of our modules is Greek religion, and we have to study the sites of Olympia, Delphi, the Athenian Acropolis, Eleusis, Epidaurus. And when we saw the little bronze statuettes there, the votives of the bulls, I can see everybody getting quite interested on those. So I feel like that's going to be an excellent resource for students and for teachers who are teaching those modules and are having to find evidence as well to look at the religious activities on those sites. So thank you very much for flagging that up. And we've probably got time just for a couple of questions. Is there anything, Richard?
What is the future?
In terms of kind of their research, because I think we can kind of keep it focused on I suppose the kind of okay, I can certainly ask. I think it might be going slightly outside of what we're looking at, but I've got a student who said obviously there's a lot of work being done at the British School of Athens to study the past, and how much of that does it influence the future? You want to know what the future of Greece is based on learnings from the past. Yeah. I think it might be a little bit kind of future predicting, but I'll ask your question.
Okay, I can try to answer this. It certainly makes you think more about what you don't know rather than what you know. But and I'm not sure what's the best way to answer this, but I can tell you this, that it might sound strange saying it out loud, but the past doesn't exist. Antiquity doesn't exist. It only exists because we're talking about it, and exists because we're talking about it in a way that we think about it. So in a way, the way we talk about antiquity kind of reflects more, in a way, what we how we approach now this discipline, and how we think now about ancient cultures and about their everyday life and political events. And it might be very different from what actually happened, because we're trying to do hypotheses here and test them through archaeology and research. And I don't know, it doesn't really answer your question, but in a way, the way we study antiquity and culture in general reflects a lot the way we think about culture today, and that perhaps can tell you a bit about where we are at the moment, and even give you a hint of where we're going in terms of where research is taking us and possible new avenues that we want to explore. Sorry, I don't have a better answer, but
that's okay. I think it might be a slightly difficult question, I think, to answer potentially. Any questions about the work of the BSA, Bella? Okay. And Bella would like to know the role of archivist at the British School of Athens. What does that entail in terms of I suppose a job specification? What kinds of day-to-day activities would you do?
Good question.
Well, I do lots of different things. So my main job is to oversee the collections and especially do a procedure of cataloging all of them. We have lots of collections that are not cataloged. So I put programs into place so we can catalog and then digitize collections so we can make them accessible online for researchers. That's my main job. The other part is collection development to see which collections we may be missing, which would be useful in our collecting areas. And then the other part is giving permissions to study and to publish material. That's my main three things I do.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. What got time for one more if there is any more questions? You go on. I think it needs to be about the work of the British School at Athens. It's got to be focused. That's what the presentation.
It can be a bit in general.
I think
maybe.
Yeah. It's not focused on classics, I'm afraid, and I obviously want to keep it kind of focused. It is very true, but we're going in kind of that's more modern day. So I think we need to be focusing on the ancient past and the work of the British School at Athens. One more question. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fabulous. The undergraduate opportunities that exist with the British School at Athens, do you have specific universities that are paired with you for that, or is that something that the students, it's independent?
Yeah, every UK university can get in touch, and we're open to all kinds of collaborations. We don't have favorites. We just have people who are knocking our door more often than others. So if that answers your question.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, my students will have to get to their next lesson, but I just wanted to thank all three of you. It was incredibly useful, not just for students, but as I say, for teachers as well, to know what resources are there to help us. So I will make sure I do share that and tag you in lots of things to make other people aware of what else we've got available to us. But I appreciate your time so much.
The pleasure was all ours. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.